Found a camera pointed into my bathroom window. What the F do I do? Self-explanatory title and throwaway account for reasons. Yesterday while I was in my shower, I noticed what looked like a trail camera pointed into my bathroom through the small window over the shower. I usually have pretty good situational awareness, so there's no way it had been there more than a few days. The more that I think about it, though, I typically shower at night, so I probably wouldn't have noticed it in the dark. I freaked out, called a friend to confirm that I wasn't going crazy and that they saw what I saw, and then called the cops through the non-emergency number. The detective came by within 20 minutes, took a look and said, "Yep, that's a trail camera." He took pictures of it, took it down, and took it for evidence. He said it looked cellular-enabled but it didn't look like it was on, didn't have an SD card in it, and that maybe the battery had died. I feel so uncomfortable and unsafe in my own home now. Which is so crazy to me because this is such a safe neighborhood. I've already made a trip to the store to get frosted window film and got more security cameras for the outside of my home. I checked the cameras I already had, and of course this area of my yard is just out of view and nothing odd was caught on camera within the last 30 days. Just my kids on the trampoline. The icing on the cake? The tree it was attached to is in my fenced backyard, and to make it even better, worse, I went to install the window film and cleaned the inside of the window. It was extra clear, and I looked closer. There were streaks on the outside of the window where whoever this was cleaned the window. I've lived here for a year and a half and can guarantee I've never cleaned the outside of my windows. I've been suggested to ask my neighbors if their cameras have picked up anything suspicious, but I worry about causing a stir and messing up an investigation if it was one of them. Everyone around me knows that I'm a single mom of 2 young kids. The whole thing feels very targeted and makes me so uncomfortable. So what the F do I do now? If they find out who did it, do I have any recourse? Can I sue? Restraining order? Shoot, what are the odds the cops even find out who did it? Also, can't just move. I own and in this market would be upside down in my mortgage. Update. At the suggestion of many, I emailed the detective and provided the additional details about the neighbors, the people working in the fence, the moved camera, and the wiped out side of the window and anything else I could remember that might help. I also brought up my concerns about the kids being targeted because it is the main bathroom that we all share. He followed up with me really quickly, thanked me for the info and said it's really common to be overwhelmed at first and not provide many details. Not sure if this was only said to make me feel better, he also let me know that he was working on a search warrant for the SIM card to the camera. He said it could take a couple of days to get it, but I would be notified immediately if there are any pictures of me or the kids, of if there's any other information he has to give me. He also gave me a few safety tips, similar to those that this subreddit has given, but said to avoid putting anything on the HOA page for now. Incidentally, shortly after hearing back from the detective, my next-door neighbor and the other, overly helpful, neighbor came through the side gate while the kids were splashing around in their blow-up pool. I about jumped out of my skin when the gate latch opened. There was no heads up or anything before just coming in. Next-door neighbor said, "Oh shit, sorry, didn't mean to scare you. We knocked on your door and then assumed you guys were back here." They had an air compressor and a nail gun in tow and said, "We just needed to fix a few loose boards from when we fixed the fence, should only take a few seconds." There really were a couple of boards that weren't fully attached, and since my next-door neighbor had funded the entire shared fence repair, I let them fix it and they left. They were there for all of 5 minutes, tops, and didn't do a single thing except for fix the fence boards, but still, the timing felt really weird. Could it have been legit? Possibly. Could it have been an excuse to just be in my backyard? Also possibly. Before I get crucified for poor decisions, the gate now has a padlock. I looked up the sex offender registry and didn't find any nearby. My town has an ordinance that prohibits them from residing within a half-mile radius of a school or park. And we have a ton of parks, which essentially leaves a very small pocket several miles away that someone with that kind of record could live. I did also look up arrest records for my neighbors, which was mostly uneventful. One neighbor has a super minor arrest from like 15 years ago. But guess which neighbor has several arrests, to include a handful of DV charges. If you guessed overly helpful neighbor guy, you'd be right. I didn't see any convictions, but I'm newer to this state and also don't know where to look to find them. But the county has arrest records readily available. Thank you to everyone who talked some sense into me about not worrying about being a bother to the police and not being nice. My certified people-pleasing ways don't fit a situation as serious as this. I'm going to keep a pulse on the detective to make sure that they're still actively working on the case and be extra vigilant about our surroundings. My new cameras will be installed in the morning, and I've already added a few things to the house to help us feel more safe. Unless something really crazy happens, which I'm seriously hoping it doesn't, this will probably be my last update until we find out who did it.